and everything, and I'll come in a little bit after.
Sure, Maharaj. So also the devotees are gathering as happens. They're getting their parikrama shoes or leaving their shoes behind perhaps and getting their sun hats, sunscreen, but they don't have so far to walk, so you don't have to get too sun protected for the walk from our Chaitanya Saraswat mat, because we're going to go to Chatak Parvat where we were yesterday and continue probably I would say 82 meters, not very far after the Purushottam Gaudiya mat. I don't think it's 100 meters.
Really?
So quite near after the Purushottam Gaudiya mat. So that's where we're going to go today. So we can begin, Maharaj, with a mini invocation, if you like, and we can just simply say to Guru, to Gauranga, to Vaishnavas, and Panchatattva, and Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Om Agyana Timarandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuje Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are at Sri Chaitanya Saraswat mat and preparing. First of all, we'll come before the deities of Shri Nitai Chaitanya Dev, who we introduced yesterday, and we come before the deities and normally we'll start some kirtan in front of the deities, and in front of the deities we can indeed say Jai Shri Nitai Chaitanya Dev Ki Jai, and Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, and Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchitananda Bhaktivinod Thakur Ki Jai, and Shri Rupanuga Guru Vaga Ki Jai, and Shri Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur at Tiruvarvati Ki Jai, and Jai the Disappearance Day too of Srila Gadadhar Pandit Ki Jai, which is today, both of these. And in the meantime, devotees gathering together, including Prem Narayan Prabhu and our Tomsk Bhaktivinoda, including our newly born Damayanti Devi Dasi, who looks glowing in the Tomsk temple.
I think
Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me, Maharaj?
Maharaj, the sound quality is not so good. Maybe you're faint and a little
No, then it's
distant.
not on.
Yeah.
No, I mean, hold on a second. What about now? Can you hear me now?
It's reasonable, Maharaj.
No, but I can't hear him. Why is this not working?
Govinda, Govinda, Govinda.
Hare Krishna.
Good.
What is good?
Something. Hare Krishna was good.
No. Oh, but that is always good. But can you hear me now?
Yes, but I think it's quiet unless maybe. Oh yeah, I'm not the controller. I can't turn anybody's microphone on. If somebody else can, if the controller can turn on Sri Hari's microphone when we can hear Sri Hari say a word. Maybe Priyanana Didi or Pavan Krishna, who's there. I'm not sure who's looking after the administering. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
So Maharaj, so you're saying you can't hear me?
Oh, now sounds good.
Wait, you just changed it. Hold on a second. He said it was okay.
But a bit quiet, Maharaj. Can
No,
whoever is it?
no,
No, nothing.
it's not.
Cannot hear. Oh, yes.
Oh. So when I speak, it's very quiet, or what is the problem?
I hope
Maharaj.
it's okay. Oh, yes, that's okay. I think it's picking it up from maybe the phone, because when you lean forward, it sounds loud.
What about now?
Medium, Maharaj. But Sri Hari's giving a thumbs
But
up.
is it clear what I'm saying? It may not be loud. Is it clear?
Yes, Maharaj. Okay, everybody's saying yes.
But if I say speak from here, is that louder?
No, it's the same.
Okay, then that means the mic is working. Okay,
Yep,
so is this volume on maximum? Okay,
Yep.
how about now?
Yes, it's the
now?
same. The same, Maharaj.
Okay, all right.
Go with what we have, yes.
That's what we have. Yeah.
So Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, and Jai Shri Gupta Govardhan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj in Gupta Govardhan ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari.
Yes. Hare Krishna. All right. Yeah.
Govinda.
Hare Krishna. So should I begin speaking now?
Yes, Maharaj, please do so.
Okay. All right. So Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Saraswati Thakur instilled in his disciples the understanding that we are what is known as the Bhaktivinod Paribar. Like previously there was Narottam Paribar. That means the family, the line, the group of. So like you'll see sometimes amongst those who claim Gaudiya lineage that they branch off in different ways. But when it comes to someone like Narottam Thakur, just everyone accepts Narottam Thakur. Then who comes next, they may go this way, that way. So his position is unassailable and most important in our line, right? And we know Narottam Thakur wrote, among other things, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, which Srila Saraswati Thakur uses as the, I think it's okay, as the transmission of the Rupanuga line. So they will say Narottam Paribar. But after that, Narottam Thakur, and then we have Vishwanath Thakur, Bhakti Thakur, and then so many others. As Krishna says in the Gita and reiterates in the Bhagavatam and the Gita, Yogo Nashta Parantapa. Yog, the link was broken when he's telling in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavana Hamma, I spoke this science to Vivaswan. But in time, Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarsho Vidu Sakalaneha Na Mahata, what? Mahata Yogo Nasta Parantava. Yog, the link was broken. And the why or how in the parting instructions to Uddhava, It says, Prakriti by Chitra, and then Parampardena. Prakriti by Chitra means that the truth becomes modified by the hearers, by their individual temperament. So sometimes Guru Maharaj will say, like we say, Krishna to Brahma to Narada, Vyas, but sometimes they say that, Brahma had more than one son and disciples. So they're all hearing the truth. There's a common thing they do in journalism classes where the teacher will say there's 4 rows of students, and the first row on the end, the teacher will tell them something, and they're supposed to turn around and tell the person behind them, to whisper, turn around, tell that person, and then it goes up and down the rows, and then they get to the end. So then they have that first person say what it is they were told, and then the last person says what it is they heard. And usually at this point, the class breaks out in laughter, right? It's been modified so many times according to the individual temperament of the receivers. So it's something like that. And Guru Maharaj said, and what is descended? He said, a religious jungle. Right? With so many differing exponents of truth or half-truth or mistruth, or so many possibilities. So when we become familiar with the Siddhanta of our Guru Varga, we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, etc. This is so high. And must be perfectly understood, that it would seem that the room for error or misrepresentation is great. Even in the Charitamrita, we read about the 3 bona fide sons of Advaita Acharya and 3 not. Right? And they're sons of Advaita Acharya. We're basically told, here, there's 3 who, Achyutananda, Gopal, and I think Krishna. Right? And then there's 3 others who, in the words of Charitamrita, became asar. Prabhupada translates it as useless. And what was their idea? That that Advaita is principle. You don't need Nityananda or, Advaita. So it's always in the name of being so faithful and dedicated to the Guru, where all these things happen. Someone pledging, this type of exclusive devotion, they don't hear from anyone, And what are they doing? They're excluding Nityananda Prabhu. Right. So Srila Guru Maharaj says in this regard that the song of Narottam Thakur, the line that says, Vidya Kule ki kori betar, is directed toward this line, saying this so-called scholarship, you mean by your scholarly understanding, you came to the point of eliminating Nityananda Prabhu. What did he say? Durachar. Not very nice what he's saying, but you can sing it, you can dance to it. Say Pashu Durachar. Condemned by Narottam Thakur. Anyway, we know Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. We're told that, like, when we hear Bhaktivinod Thakur following the analysis of Totaram, Das Babaji identified, what is it, 14 Sahaja Sampradayas. That was at the time. There may be 1,000, but 14 like principal Sahaja identified. Al, Bal, Gora Nagari, Karta Bhaja, Shaki Beki, etc. So Saki Beki mean those who they dress like Sakis. There was one such in Navadvip, Guru Maharaj saw before joining Gaudiya Math, called himself Lalita Saki. And it's when some people there, like he is, Guru Maharaj said, doing all these feminine movements and acting like, and dressed like a lady and everything. Then somebody said, well, we read something in the newspaper saying that basically you guys are bogus. Said, then he turned into a man expressing his rage and was ousting them. So, but the Saki Beki group, they were there in the time of Vishwanath. And Vishwanath Thakur and had one simple line to deal with them. He's saying, those who we know who are, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das, all Manjaris in the spiritual, Lalita, Srip Damodar, Lalita Saki, Ramananda Roy, did they do this? No. And they hold that position in the upper world, and they're not doing that. So very, in a simple way, he actually canceled them. But you can understand that much adulteration and deviation is happening in the line. Just like the people who will read the Jaiva Dharma in the present day, they'll read Jaiva Dharma. There's some, they say, when you read that, then you can understand what level of progress you've made, where you are. And to which I say, yes, it's the place, the appropriate spot, it says, copyright, all rights reserved. That's where you are. You're on the other side of that, right? As Guru Maharaj said, having a passport is not sufficient. You must secure a visa to enter that place. All rights reserved. So anyway, they hearing the practices of the Siddha plane means those who they are at least Swarup Siddhi, right? They know in a real and substantial way what is their spiritual identity. Certain practices are given for them. So Guru Maharaj is saying that Narottam Thakur, so many songs for the Siddha plane, but then what are the songs we sing for the aspiring progressive practitioner? Bhaktivinod Thakur, he said, his songs mainly targeting the practicing, but also some Siddha plane songs, like Ami, Swananda, Sukhada Kunjabasi, this kind of thing. Bhaktivinod Thakur, he can express such things. But what had happened in the line, this thing, it's Mahaprabhu's line, the Mahavadanaya avatar, as we're chanting. He descends and he's liberally distributing Krishna Prem. People who see him become infused with Krishna Prem. When he's having his kirtan, the tears are shooting out of his eyes. They're premic tears. They land on someone, they're bathed, and they become full of Krishna Prem. But in time, like in the Gita, due to the influence of time, the truth is being converted into falsity. Bhaktivinod Thakur actually deals with this in his Bhagavad speech, where he says, the truth is inevitably converted into error. Unless we be discouraged by that, he says, therefore, continual fresh revelation is necessary to restore the truth to its former purity. So how far had they gone away? To the point of where they're engaged in abominable practices in the name of internal culture. That's why and our like there's the Babajis, and their partners were called Madhujis. So that we don't use that term in the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat because it alludes to the female partner of the Babaji. So I could say something Gurumar said, but I don't think I'm going to say it. So the Vaishnava's reputation had become ruined. This became synonymous with Vaishnavas. When you mention Vaishnavas, they say, oh, don't tell me about these. I know what they're doing, what their so-called spiritual practices are. These people womanizing, they're the worst type of misrepresentation of, of what a saint should be. That's why when Bhaktivinod Tirtha Maharaj and Saki Babu were in Calcutta, and someone told there's a Paramahansa Babaji in Navadvip, and they're like, no, thank you. And they're saying, no, there's a real one. There's one, there's an actual. Really? It's the one about all of these saints and so-called saints, and she's a mundane scholar, but it's interesting. In her book, there's like every bogus person imaginable. And she will say, because she's an academic, they have people who believe they're that, and then they have detractors who think that they're totally bogus. And she says, but there was this one Paramahansa who has no detractors. She found that interesting. There was this one Paramahansa who or challenged the authenticity of his Siddha Purush, Mahapurush status. And who is that? Paramahansa Thakur, Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So we could say a few, and a handful at most. The rest of Vaishnavism has gone to hell, basically. That's the time when Bhaktivinod Thakur descends. So Guru Maharaj said, like the Gita Sloka, Paritranaya, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya, Glani Bhavati Bhat, Abhutanam Adharmasya, Tadatmanam Sijamyaham. Krishna saying, when Dharma gets so far removed from Dharma that it is adharmic, right? Theme of Dharma, in other words, at that time, I send myself or send my empowered representatives. So when Bhaktivinod, we'll see this with other great devotees, like Gadadhar Pandit appeared in what is present day Murshidabad, but I believe it was previously called Bharatpur. And interestingly, it's not too far from Ekachakra and sort of north of Navadvip by around 100 kilometers. Rara Desh. Rara. It's not Radha Desh. Rara Desh, where the Ganga does not flow. But there's the, what is it called? The Padma, Padma River. But anyway, so what I mean to say is they're descending in this world and appearing like people of this world. So Bhaktivinod Thakur, he will even write in his own so-called autobiography about like where he grew up and different things and what life was like. And he's showing himself as someone who, at a particular stage in his life, comes in connection with Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam, and as he says, the Eastern Savior. Just as there's the Western Savior, he said, I am rather charmed by the Eastern Savior, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. But he presents a conversion story that he's a particular way, and then by some inconceivable causeless mercy, divine, he gets this connection. And we know his famous Bhagavad speech, there was a man, Ram Mohan Roy, and he's like almost like New Age before it was fashionable. He's taking Hinduism from Christianity, from I can hear Gurudeva say, some very nice lafra or khichuri. Huh? Yes, but the Bengali word for hodgepodge is khichuri or lafra. He likes to use those terms. So, and this will be appealing to people. Right? So many times the Buddha is saying, what we have, this pure thing that we have, is not so popular with the people. So we'll do something else to capture them. But what happens very often is you don't make it back to the original pure substance. Become a victim of your own propaganda. Saraswati, the Pujala Raghavat Gaurava Bange Matala Sarujana Bishayarange. That Bishayarange means like bait. Some bait may be used to capture someone, but the bait is not the substance. Right? So anyway, this Ram Mohan Roy, he sees in Bhaktivinod Thakur a he's a person. The to go in the right. And he says many things, and he delivers it in Emersonian language and metaphor, which shows that Bhaktivinod Thakur was acquainted with the writings of the American transcendentalists, Emerson, Whitman, Thoreau. Remember, Thoreau says, in the morning I bathe my
像比如说这个思想家，就是说他每天早晨就是沐浴在不加梵歌的光荣、光辉的智慧之中。Bhaktivinod Thakur 他写的这些，
этой проповеди Чайтанья Махапрабху он отправил в Англию, в университет, откуда он получил благодарности. Эмерсон был ярким представителем, который интернационалистской традиции. Он говорил: не будьте путниками. И вы можете понять, что его изречения наполнены идеями гуманизмом, но также он говорил другие замечательные вещи. Имитация подобна самоубийству, притворство. Но его известное изречение: не будьте чьими-то спутниками, а станьте системой, самостоятельной системой. Bhaktivinod Thakur
en esta frase de Emerson, él dice que los estudiantes deben ser satélites al
这个行性的信号。
becomes
Паривар. И я вам сказал, что Бхактивинод Тхакур в этой линии стал системой. И с этой позиции, центральной позиции, здесь система, он говорит, первоклассный ученик всегда подобен спутнику, который отражает свет своего мастера. И это то место, где расходятся их дороги с Рамананда, с этим самым Прабху. Я лучше останусь с Спасителем с Востока, с Шри Чайтаньей Махапрабху. Гуру Махараджа была божественная стратегия. Я умышленно употребляю это слово в этом контексте. Я хотел привлечь внимание, захватить Сарасвати Такура. И что я заметил? Я заметил, что он очень пристальный наблюдатель. До того, настолько пристально наблюдающий за всем, что когда он впервые только начал приходить в храм Чайтаньи Сарасвати Такура, его...
That's how intense Guru Maharaj. The man said, "You won't be allowed to go to the left." He's not like, no. That's too much. What's going on over here? Welcome to the Krishna consciousness movement. They're going to throw Guru Maharaj out, which they did in time. They used to have a saying, like, there's one level, like your family and everybody abandoned you when you take the Krishna consciousness. There's another level when all the devotees abandon you. Anyway, Guru Maharaj went for a walk on the Ganga. Where? Calcutta. The Ganga's in Calcutta. Happy to bring the news. They just call it the Hooghly, but it's the Ganga. So he goes for a walk on the bank of the Ganga. They have a guy. The Ganga, they say this part's Ganga. And Guru Maharaj is saying, like, surrounding Saraswati Thakur, I don't really care for them. He said, but I cannot deny what my heart is searching for. You know, Gauranga. He's an aspiring servant of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He said, I cannot deny it. He's got that. Because of the wealth and the heart of Saraswati Thakur, I will tolerate those surrounding. This is good advice.
Я готов со смирением отнестись к окружению Сарасвати Такура только для того, чтобы сохранить с ним общение. Это мы должны принять как совет для нас всех. Поэтому всегда должны спрашивать себя, в чем же суть, ради чего я здесь. И тогда все гармонизируется и становится на свои места.
Capture Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktivinod Thakur is everything to him. Even the way he names his deities, like Radha Vinod, this Vinod, that Vinod, like always Vinod. And we know his Bhaktivinod Thakur sent him to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who accepts it as Gurudeva. But Guru Maharaj would say substantially, Bhaktivinod Thakur, it's the Bhaktivinod Paribar. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is in total agreement with that. So he's coming to hear Bhaktivinod Thakur. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he wants to hear Bhaktivinod Thakur explain Bhagavatam and Mahaprabhu, Radharani, everything. Like Gurudev said, quoted in the Sharanagati intro, if all the not just religion, we mean the real religious books, means the Bhagavatam, all the books that we have. Krishna, books about Krishna were lost. He said, and all we had left was the songs of Bhaktivinod Thakur, we would still have everything. He has that marvelous way. Like I was saying, Parichanaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam. Gita. Bhaktivinod Thakur, Brajajana Palana Asurakula Nashana. Sweeter, you could say, and more specific. The Brajajana Palana Asurakula Nashana. So, Guru Maharaj, on the disappearance of Bhaktivinod Thakur, in the lifetime of Saraswati Thakur, composed this Bhaktivinod Viraha Dasakam, these slokas. And that's the one Saraswati Thakur like sees it in the printing press, like they have proofs, and he goes on a tour of the press. One of the higher devotees there saw Saraswati Thakur just reading a proof. He said, so many ecstatic symptoms I could see playing on his divine form, and he was struggling to suppress them all just by glancing at a proof, such as the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he sees these prayers written to Bhaktivinod Thakur, and that's when he said, who's written this? And that's the devotee said, oh, Sridhar Maharaj. And he said, no, Sridhar Maharaj has not written this. Bhaktivinod Thakur has written this through him. In other words, it's that perfect. And that's when he said, well, and I may leave the world soon, but at least one man remains behind who, what I came to give, he's got it. What did he come to? The wealth of Bhaktivinod Thakur. So deal with that verse in a minute, but other verses there say, Guru Maharaj say, Dharmas Charma, Gateva, Satato, Yogas Bogatmako. He talks about the condition of Bengal and the Sampradaya at the time of the appearance of Bhaktivinod Thakur, how important it was for him to descend at that time and provide a course correction for the Sampradaya. It was off. Again, other than these inaccessible Paramahansa Vaishnavas like Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Bangshi Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhagwat Das Babaji Maharaj, Babaji Base Guru, Gorkishore Das Babaji, like a few like that. And we know they're inaccessible, practically speaking. They're Bhajananandis, not Ghostananandi preachers. So Bhaktivinod Thakur, and this is the point I wanted. So I said that Srila Guru Maharaj, so he presents this conversion trajectory that he's living this way, and then the Brahmo society, then he leaves, and then that at a certain point he gets a copy of Chaitanya Charitamritam. His heart is filled with joy. He gets his Diksha connection, all the, but I said to Guru Maharaj, but wait, so if we follow this conversion trajectory, so then after that, it's like Chaitanya Shikshamritam, Ajaiva Dharma, all the songs, like everything. And I'm saying, how, that's not possible for to believe this story 100%. And before I could finish speaking, Srila Guru Maharaj said, yes, when we see the wealth of Bhaktivinod Thakur, he said, then we cannot but conclude.
No puede sino concluir que él no es un practicante de este plano.
Involved in his spiritual realization. He said, the only conclusion is that he descended from the upper world into this plane to distribute this divine substance. That can be the only conclusion. And still, when you read any of those works from time, Chaitanya, Shikshamritam, Jaividar, here and there, and what to speak of all the songs of the Sharanagati, and it's astonishing. And even Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu said something once about a section of Jaiva Dharma, because there are these Sanatana Goswami is there, Raghunath Das, other great devotees, like how to understand all this. He spoke of it.
他的书里写了这么多人，就是他写的这本书是本真是实相，并不说是什么想象，什么诗歌。
В один день принял эту наму, гуру посещает своего ученика. Это реальность, которая случается в другом измерении. Это не истории или вымыслы, не вымышленные истории какого-то автора.
Sarasvati Thakur está muy feliz de escuchar que Srila Guru Maharaj
Это выступление в защиту Бхактивинода Thakura и в этом контексте. То до какой степени это он, Бхагават Аркамаричи Мала, Бхагаватам состоит из себя.
18000的个诗节，在卡利年代这个漆黑之中，它就像月亮一般，照亮了一切。它就像这个18000只太阳的光芒。
But Arkamarichima takes 1,000 of those rays that are of a specific quality of illumination, giving illumination on certain aspects of Krishna Lila. Right? But when he presents this, he's saying, I have a quandary about whether I should say how it is I came to make this collection of slokas. But one day he's in deep, dives deep into reality. He's deep into and because it's live streaming reality, it's not a book that was written so many thousands of years ago. That's a past objective like hallucination. It's live streaming reality. He's deep in there, and he said, and the right-hand personal lieutenant secretary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, appeared to me and gave me explanation of the first 3 slokas of the Bhagavatam in terms of Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan, Tattva, and told me to make this compilation, this collection. So he's saying, on the one hand, I was like, should I say this? Should I reveal this? Then he said, but if I don't, I fear some fault. Like there'll be too much glorification for me. It seems in an inverted way. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says a similar thing too, like Jagai Madhai Hoite Muise Papisa Purishara Kita Hoy Muise Lagista. But someone as fallen as me, I'm just saying what he says there in the book. Saying of men so fallen, so low, so despicable. But I can't deny I got the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. And he appeared to me and said, Krishna Das, go to Vrindavan and do this seva. So I'm saying, like, should I tell people that? I think if I don't, he said, the way I justify it is like, how great is Nityananda? Then I can tell you that he could save such a fallen soul as myself. So anyway, so Bhaktivinod Thakur was saying, so Swarup Damodar, who we're hearing so much about during Rath Yatra, right? Lalita Saki descended in this plane to assist Krishna as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Lalita Saki knows everything about the heart of Srimati Radharani and all of the depth of her separation, which songs to sing, slokas, everything perfectly. That Swarup Damodar is charmed by Bhaktivinoda. What is in the heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur draws Swarup Damodar to him. That's why he's supremely qualified. Why it's the Bhaktivinod Paribar. So then we're told, like those who've been Swananda Sukhada Kunj, Surabhi Kunj, what's the other names? Swarup Gunj in Navadip, across Mayapur and on the other side of the Jalangi, Godrumadweep. So Bhaktivinod Thakur, he's there, and so remember, we hear like at 8 o'clock at night, sometimes he'd have like some rotis and some milk, and then sleep for 4 hours, wake up at midnight and start his songs, books, everything. And also sometimes, break japa, sitting on this cement bench, taking Krishna Nam. And there was a devotee who later became a disciple of Saraswati Thakur, lived next door to Bhaktivinod Thakur there. He said, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you'd hear this piteous, heartbreaking wailing of Krishna Nam. And what? As if like he was crying out in the depths of separation to his long lost beloved. He was the ear witness to this. When the breeze comes by in the morning, 4:15, he realizes it's coming from Devapoli, Nisringapoli. It's Nisringadev attending the Mangalarati of Mahaprabhu. So that Bhaktivinod Thakur, when he's there, sometimes he's taking Krishna Nam, as we hear. We know in his final days, he had a servant, Krishna Das. Bhaktivinod Thakur, the ratio or the balance between awareness of the external world, awareness of it, not external consciousness, awareness of that you're in the world, this world, the shift, it becomes less and less in his final days, where he's mainly in the upper world and very little conscious of here, to the point of where he's not closed, he doesn't know. And we're going that if some guest came, he would put him in a chair, take a cloth and drape him in a cloth. And then the people would come and say oh, Bhaktivinod Thakur.
拜访他，说问他 Bhaktivinod Thakur 能够告诉我们一些关于 Krishna 圣名的事情。他回答说 Krishna 的圣名 ，Krishna。
Услышав Кришна нам говорил, Кришна нам, вы настолько удачливы, что вы хотите услышать о Кришна наме, Кришна нам, Кришна нам. И его тело начинало трястись, и волосы поднимались дыбом на его теле, и слезы.
En el libro de la búsqueda de Shri Krishna, la hermosa realidad. Entonces, él se caía al suelo desde su silla porque él perdía el control. Él no podía decir nada sobre el nombre de Krishna.
And that Bhaktivinod Thakur also wailing in his final hours, and oh my Lord, I could not serve you. Considered himself a failure. I could not serve you. I couldn't do the desired service. So who did what? Guru Dam, Grantadam, Gaura, Damadam, Namadam, Buddha, Bhakti Dam, Buddhidam, Bande, Bhaktivinodam Sada. What did he give? Everything. Everything that we have comes from Bhaktivinod Thakur. As he revealed Mahaprabhu's birthplace, the cartography of Navadiptam, the ontological cartography. He revealed where everything, what is Navadip proper and what its entire ontological Leelic history. That's not normal. Who can do that? Who can say what happened in Navadiptam 10,000 years ago? Or in a particular kalpa? Who can say that? And with such authority? Bhaktivinod Thakur, ex-Rup Damodar, to come to see him. And that Bhaktivinod Thakur, so he gives, reveals the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, the whole of Navadiptam, gives all of our scriptures, songs, Sharanagati, the holy name of Krishna. Then what? He needs an agent for distribution, because he only had maybe 5-7 disciples himself. So he gives Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who infuses this spirit of distribution into His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And thus you have the worldwide Krishna consciousness movement. Then Om Vishnu Pad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj to tell us the treasure that's been distributed, to explain to us what it is. This type of jewel, that type of gem, this has this value, that has that value. So that Bhaktivinod Thakur, sometimes he's sitting on the stone bench taking Krishna Nam. Sometimes Guru said he's taking Krishna, walking sky in the subtle plane. And one such time, he comes upon an assembly of Mahajans. They're having Bhagavad Gita class. Like we will hear about Gadadhar Pandit, that, he's also giving class. To who? Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Haridas. Inconceivable. But so Bhaktivinod Thakur, and what are they discussing? The verse Api Chet Suraracharo Bhajate Mam Ananyabhak Sadhureva Samantavya Samyagvya Basito Hisa Kipram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashvat Shantim Vigatsati Konteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashati. This part of the Gita. It appears to be saying, even if my devotee does wrong or commits something, some abominable activity, quickly they're corrected, and don't think ill of them. Anyway, my devotee will never be vanquished, destroyed. That would be a conventional way of understanding that, because it's also mentioned yesterday with Rupa Goswami and Mahaprabhu. There's a famous verse that says about Krishna that if a devotee does like the worst type of offense, but it's also mentioned there not to do anything wrong in the Dham, then it's 100,000 times worse than anywhere else. It's in that section. But so Bhaktivinod Thakur, they're discussing this. What are the fine points? Just like Srila Gurudeva would say sometimes. he'd ask a question, kind of a rhetorical question. What about this? And then the devotees would think, oh, that's easy. Like they start giving an answer and Gurudeva would say, Prabhu, I know what we normally say. What I'm saying is, let's think about this more deeply. What is it? You know, then everyone will become silent. He knows the simple answer. They know what's generally said, but why are they meeting to discuss this? Don't they know Bhagavad Gita? Is there some point like, you know, I'm knowing Gita. The Mahajans have Bhagavad Gita class. Gadadhar, but don't the others assemble there know Bhagavatam? So new light will come. Achinoti Yashasra, extracting new meaning. Guru Maharaj said, Vyasa Narada and the audience, and they're like, there's the boy, Sukadev. Let's hear some new light is going to come from him. They're listening with eagerness. It's not rote recitation of what was been heard. Guru Maharaj said of Saraswati Thakur. What I liked about my Guru Maharaj, he was not vomiting what he heard from others, but giving something fresh. So they're saying, but it seems the pivotal point in this sloka is Ananya Bhakti. That means, you know, an exclusive bhakta, that this is pivotal here. So while they're discussing this, they say, there's Bhaktivinod Thakur. He's an Ananya Bhakta. Let's invite him. So just again, even if we didn't say another word, who is Bhaktivinod Thakur? That the Mahajans invite him into their Gita class to explain the deeper level meaning of what is there. We shudder to think. So, and he explains very beautifully, Guru is that just, I mean, after all this, to not say anything, that would be saying, Kipram Bhavati Dharmatma means quickly you become a dharmic, again, like dharmic. He's saying, what is an Ananya Bhakta? Sarva Dharmam Parichaja. They've given up dharma in pursuit of Krishna conception. You're saying they're going to become dharmic? So it can't mean that devotee, because they crossed over dharma in answering the call of Krishna. So to say they will, no. It's saying, if you can, when you're observing this devotee, if your faith can be such that to understand they didn't do anything wrong, there's no wrong from them. Whatever was done was not wrong. Then that'll be dharmic, that'll be good for you. And quickly your position will improve by seeing no fault in Krishna's devotee. And Guru Maharaj said, just to help us understand, because there's a similar verse in the Bhagavatam. Like we go, well, how do we understand that? He's saying, like the policeman or the soldier, when they kill someone, and I know this is the modern world, people, these are examples. When you're trying to understand philosophical point, you give examples. So the example, and let's just say in this example, it's all copacetic, okay, paka. So the policeman kills someone and it's all justifiable. There's no fault. He's not thrown in jail or nothing. Same thing with the soldier. Kill one person on your own, that's a different story. The soldier, the more he kills, the more medals he's gonna get. There's no fault on his part. He's saying, Bhaktivinod Thakur says, that's how you have to read this verse. That's the deeper level reading of the verse. And once I said to Srila Guru Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, I heard some of your godbrothers were not pleased with your broadcasting, and Guru Maharaj said to me, he goes, who are these godbrothers? And I went, I said, I don't know. I mean, I just heard, and Guru Maharaj, he was joking. Then he said, Judge of our Maharaj. He was afraid if I broadcast this, then people they will abuse it. But see, now we're back to Bhaktivinod Thakur in the Bhagavad. He's saying, just because the truth will be abused or misused or misrepresented does not mean then you should promote what is false. Saying, well, if we tell what the truth is, it'll be. So we're going to say something less than what is true. That may be with a child, but not ultimately or finally. There are things we say we should not discuss the details of, the intimate pastime of Radha and Krishna. But Gurudeva would say, but it's still we should know that that's there. It's not that we're dismissing that is the ultimate reality. Just so you're not qualified to enter into that, the details of that now. So, just to conclude this portion of the evening program, is that, so as Swarup Damodar is attracted to the wealth in the heart of Bhaktivinod Thakur, then we can understand, as Gurudeva said, that Srila Saraswati Thakur, he's attracted to the wealth, he said, in the melted heart of Bhaktivinod Thakur. That's what brought Saraswati Thakur down. In where? Jagannath Puri. The Savior will appear in the East. And Bhagavati Devi, so Bhaktivinod Thakur praying, we'll find out later, many, there's the Nrsinga Dev temple, but there are also many gods and goddesses there too, and one Bimala Devi. And some mystical prayer of Bhaktivinod Thakur, so when he gets Saraswati Thakur, names him Bimala Prasad, Hare Krishna. So when Saraswati Thakur is reading the Bhaktivinod Viraha Dasagam, Guru Maharaj is also talking about that. He said, just to put this out there, that Saraswati Thakur's brother, Lalita Prasad, he also liked it. He saw it. So when he's reading there, and so many beautiful verses there, and one I like too, he says about Ramanujadye Mahatma Simanatat. He's saying, what Ramanuja and Madhva gave, you've gone beyond that. Your gift is greater than that of Ramanuja, greater than that of Madhvacharya. That's what's being said in that prayer. Because as he told to Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu, Vedas deal mainly with Brahma and Paramatma. He said, a hint of Bhagavan. Said, our Guru Maharaj, Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinod Thakur, what are they dealing with? And others deal with Vishnu Bhakti or variations of that. He's saying, our Guru Maharaj, they came down and they're revealing thank you. Hare Krishna. That full-fledged theism of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Govinda combined. He said, Vedaisha Sarvara Hangeva Vedyo. Krishna himself saying, I am what is to be understood. And then if that Krishna comes and tells you there's no greater devotees and no greater path of devotion than that of Radharani and the Braja Gopis, trust him, believe him. You got Nityananda Prabhu going door to door, falling at people's feet, begging them to accept the lotus feet of Gauranga. Why? Because you get Radha Govinda. Yata yata Gaura Padara Vinde, Vinde to Bhaktim Krita Punirasi, Tatata Tot Sarpati, Hridikasmat, Radha Padam Boja Sudam Burasi. Does Astasaki Tunga Vidya know where she lives? Can we give her that much credit that she knows her own address and how to go there? So if she descends from that plane and says, if you want to go there where I live, here's how you do it. And what do? You surrender everything to the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. No, Gauranga. Gaura Padarvinde. And then what happens? Tatat Tatot Sarpati Hridya Kasmat Radha Padambodhisudamburasi. Automatically, subconsciously, deep from within the core of your heart, the Radha Rasa Shuddhanidhi begins to flow, and you're in that current. Why do they say these things? So Guru Maharaj, Saraswati Thakur is looking at this. The person who shivers in divine ecstasy when he sees that quality of substance. And one line in particular, he said, oh, happy sign. In addition to the substance, as Keshav Maharaj said about Srila, saying people would try other, not people, divine personality, right? Sanskrit verses. When he saw the Premadama Deva Stotram, he said, no one can compete with him. Like, don't even try. He said, because sometimes they're so concerned that it will be ontologically laden substance that it's not poetically sweet. Then there are others, they want to write something that sounds very sweet poetically, and it's not really substantial ontologically. And he says, what Sridhar Maharaj does is like the ultimate spiritual substance in inconceivably sweet poetic style. So no one can compete with him. So Srila Saraswati Thakur sees this, and what did it say? Remember, it's praising Bhaktivinod Thakur. And this is Guru Maharaj's strategy to capture Saraswati Thakur. He's not jumping over his guru. Gri Gauranumatam Sarupa Viditam Rupagrajanadritam Rupadye Pariveshitam Raghuganai Asvaditam Sevitam Jivadye Sitam Sukha Shiva Brahma Samanitam Pada Sevanam Ritam Aho Tadatum Yisho Bhavan. Oh, Bhaktivinod Thakur, this is your gift to the world. Then perfectly describes each divine personality, substantially represents them, weigh, assess, value, assign, what is their gift and contribution. Sri Gauranumatam, as we hear throughout Charitamritam, Swarup Damodar Dvitiya Kalevam. He's Mahaprabhu the second, Mahaprabhu the next, Mahaprabhu's other self. He's saying only Swarup Damodar knows fully, truly, completely why Mahaprabhu has come down here. Remember, Gadadhar Pandit just going to keep that to himself. Right? I'm going to say, took my heart, Bhav and Kanti. Anyway, so Swarup Damodar is saying, Gadadhar Pandit, we're hearing, Tota Gopinath, keeping some distance, in a sense, all these things going on for various reasons, but then explaining Bhagavatam, So, saying Srup Damodar, Srupam Vidbranam Jagatatulyam, in the words of Rupa Goswami, here echoed by Guru Maharaj. Saying, so he only knows. That's why if someone says something that's contrary to what Srup Damodar says, we dismiss it out. We don't want to hear it. Anything. Right? Swarupam Vibram Jagat Sri Gauranam Swarupa Viditam Rupa Gujenadritam. That means the elder brother of Rupa. And see, Sanatana Goswami will like to be described that way.
И Санатан Госвами нравилось, что его описывали таким образом. Гуру Махарадж говорит,
Sanatan Prabhu muy feliz al escuchar eso. Y también hace Rupa.
That's what Saraswati Thakur seems, oh, so sweet, happy style, but full of substance. And saying, and it's so worshipped by Sanatana Goswami Prabhu. Rupa Ye Pariveshana, and Rupa, etc. All of Rupa's followers, they're distributing.
No Chinese today. No. Yes. Yeah. Good. And it's today is like not so good.
Then group. Who does that mean? Raghunath Das Goswami, and by extension, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Why is he saying this? Because what is only known to Srup Damodar, as we heard yesterday, Das Goswami and Srup Damodar, they're the real true chroniclers of the internal descent of Mahaprabhu. It's mentioned in saying others were at a distance. And we can say, well, if it's spiritual and the Lord is, revealing, no, we're not talking about mundane distance, actually. They're there with Mahaprabhu. Srup Damodar and the Gangbhir, Ramananda, Srup and Ramananda, and Raghunath Das, his assistant. And they're all of that, what is they observed, and Sa Chaitanya Kime Punarapidashor Yashati Padam, Rupa eyes of Rupa Goswami. It's all transferred to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and appears in the form of Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam, the greatest literature to have ever seen the light of day in all time, all space, all creations, according to Srila Guru Maharaj. Jivadye Abharakshitam. And Jiva Goswami and Baladev Vidyabhushan, they're protecting us from adulteration, deviation, imitation, or from those who would challenge its authenticity. That is their seva. Jiva, Ye, Abhiraksh, and Rakkak, like Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Rakkak, protector, guardians. Jiva, Ye, Abhirakshitam, Sukha, Shiva, Brahma. Later, Guru Maharaj said Uddhava. They're all aspiring for a drop of this divine substance. And see also, from a poetic sense, how Guru Maharaj is building the anticipation. Keeps saying that what this substance is known only fully, this Rupa Damodar, worshipped by Sanatan, extended by Rupa, tasted by Raghunath, becoming enhanced, and Krishnadas, and protected by, aspired for by Sukha, Shiva, Brahma, Uddhava. Like, it's this huge buildup that you would have to cry out and say, what is that? You're saying this is the gift of Bhaktivinod Thakur to the world. What is it? He reveals in the next line when he says, Sri Radha Padasevinamritam. The service, the nectarine service of the holy lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Radha Dasyam, the inconceivable seva. He's saying, Bhaktivinod Thakur, this is your gift to the world. That's the opportunity that you're giving people in the form of the Krishna consciousness movement, right? And so, and that's when Saraswati Thakur said, all right, what I came to give has been received. Now I may leave the world. One will remain behind who can represent me fully. And what is, just to cap what is Guru Maharaj's prayer at the end? So after all this praise of Bhaktivinod Thakur, if you read the last line, he's saying, so what is my prayer to you, Bhaktivinod Thakur? Like, to voyeuristically envision himself as a super servitor in that plane? No. He's saying, my prayer to you is if you give me the benediction, the grace, that I can become one of the servitors of your dear Dvaita Das, meaning Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That's the conclusion of these prayers, that I could be a servitor of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he writes in his poetry that, anyway. So, and in the concluding words of his Chaitanya Charitamrita, he is saying, from a deep angle of vision, he sees Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj as Swarup Damodar and Bhaktivinod Thakur as Gadadhar Pandit. That's the vision of Saraswati Thakur. So, and that Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radharani, Ritva Madhuram Upabhoktam Kamapiya, after Krishna's plundered her heart, and with it, its halo, that the remainder is Gadadhar. So sometimes Guru Maharaj would say, like, if a man who was holding a bag full of jewels and wealth and treasure, and someone took all the treasure and they have this empty bag, and they're running after that man saying, please give me my wealth back. That so always Gadadhar Pandit approaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wanting to be with him, and settling for Ketra Sannyas in Puri at Tota Gopinath, the deity. We've seen, those who've been seeing, that was actually a big deity, and as Gadadhar Pandit aged, we're told to make it easier on Gadadhar Pandit to do the puja, the deity is in the sitting position. So one morning, wake up and see the deity sitting there, like, oh, now easy, And the pandas, the sevak, they always like to show you lift the cloth and show on the thigh of the Tota Gopinath deity, this golden streak. And we're told, Guru Maharaj said, many things are said. Sometimes about Mahaprabhu, that he ran said a few words and then merged into Jagannath. Others say he went into the sky. Others say he walked into the ocean, But Bhaktivinod, Guru Maharaj said, Bhaktivinod Thakur promotes the notion that he went into the deity of Tota Gopinath. And considering who the servitor is, that seems most plausible. Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radharani. And under the order of Mahaprabhu, was told to teach the Bhagavatam to Srinivasacharya. So Srinivasacharya approaches Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit saying, like, these, what I would like to read you, these slokas, my tears have washed them away. I need a new Bhagavatam. We know that Guru Maharaj, like Bhaktivinod Thakur had that Bhagavad Arkamarichi Mala, 1,000 sloka collection. Guru Maharaj had a mind to do 300. But he composed the introductory one for Vyasadeva, one about the Yadamya Mahima Bhagavatam Sri Bhagavatam Katayam about Radharani and Bhagavatam, and the Gadadhar Pranam is there as well. And there he says Nilambodhi Tate Sada Subiraha Kepam Vitam Bandhavam Srimad Bhagavati Kata Madiraya Sanjeevayan Bhatya Srimad Bhagavatam Sunayanasu Pujayam Sunayanasu Pujayam Goswami Paro Gadadhara Vipur Bhuyat Madeka Gati. Then it comes to the heart of the matter. That, first of all, it is inconceivable. I think that to put it in other words, it's like Srimati Radharani is explaining the Bhagavatam. What will be her perspective or insight about that? That's, we're told, in that class that they have. But at other times, why is Krishna descended? As Gurudeva said, what is his tasting matter? Separation. That's what he observed in the heart of Srimati Radharani and convinced Krishna to appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because we heard that when Saraswati Thakur was in the Brajamandal Parikrama in Vrindavan, and that devotee, one sannyasi, said, that after Radharani leaves the Rasa Leela in a huff and Krishna runs after her, and saying, but then after some time we see Krishna abandons Radharani. And everyone said, Saraswati Thakur became enraged and said, why do you introduce that? There is no devotion to be found there. And everyone was like scared and quiet, and they went on to something else. And Guru Maharaj, where did he find it? In Bhaktivinod Thakur, that what? Krishna was saying, like, all in their interaction, already he's astonished. But he's saying, like, if this is what she's like when we're together, what is she like separated from me? So he hides in the kunja to observe Srimati Radharani in separation. And that is what astonishes him and he's saying, that I have to experience. That I want to experience. And later Radharani is saying, I don't know if you can handle it. The effects of this, the asta sabika, because your form is so soft, like I shudder to think of the effects of this upon you. So then Guru said, she decides, I'll cover you, right? Radha Babaduti Subalita. So, and that Bhaktivinod Thakur said to Saraswati Thakur, to bring this back to Puri, he and Saraswati, they go on parikrama, like we try and follow in their lotus footsteps. And that's when Saraswati Thakur shared this expression from Bhaktivinod Thakur, which has to be heard very carefully, very cautiously, where he said, oh, we all know Vrindavan is for the bhuvo, the shallow, hollow thinkers. A man of real bhajan will prefer Kurukshetra. And Guru Maharaj himself said, when I heard this, it was as if I'd fallen out of the top of a tree. Right? We're saying Vrindavan is the highest place, Radha and Krishna, Madhura, and now, Guru Maharaj said, that is for the shallow, hollow thinkers. A man of real bhajan will prefer Kurukshetra. And we're thinking, what? Kurukshetra? You mean like with the battle of Kurukshetra? Or the Bhagavad Gita? No, not like that. That after 100 years separation, that Krishna and the queens of Dwarka come to Kurukshetra on the plea of there's a solar eclipse and you should engage in some pious activities. And Radharani and Braja Gopis come, and Nanda Yashoda, they all meet there. Like, it's the excuse for them to meet. Those gopis who are cursing Brahma for making eyes that blink, for that amount of separation from Krishna after 100 years of separate, and they're not old, okay? Just, not that type of 100. So, why is he identified? Remember, Bhaktivinod Thakur, he's the expert. We already established that, I think, in so many ways. So if he said, why is he putting this as the, what do you say, the zenith point or fine point, focal point, is because it is the zenith point of separation. Right? So if Bahye Vishajalahoy Bitare Anandamoy Krishna Premer Adbhuta Charit, the principle is that in separation, the heart, devotional heart, pramic heart, achieves its greatest depth and yields the most superior type of Krishna Prem. Then it would stand to reason the place where separation reaches its zenith point will produce the highest type of pramic substance. Then where there will be one is Kurukshetra at this point. So Radharani and Braja Gopis, and who is it? Dwaraka Krishna. Right? Jagannath Puri represents Dwaraka. So Dwaraka Krishna, Jagannath, Dwaraka Krishna, Radharani and Braja Gopis, they come and cannot conceal their disappointment to see Krishna in the dress of a king, because his Vrindavan paraphernalia is inseparable from him. It's part of it. You can't have Radha and Krishna without the Jamuna and the Vrindavan. Like, it's a package. It all is there. You can't take one part away from it. And the mention Garga Sangita, when Krishna's saying about descending, Radharani saying, I won't go if you're going to do like a duplicate. What's the word? The Russian word, like Sputnik. It can't be that. Like, make one here. We have, and she says it twice. She says, I'm serious, I'm not going unless we bring the original. And that's why it's not that this is a fine point of contention. There's Gokula. Gokula is the original. So when Krishna comes, he brings the original here. And what remains, what is there is an extension. Not that an extension comes here and the original is there. He actually descends with his original, right? And Radharani made that part of the contract, illuminating part of the contract. So there, because separation reaches zenith point, Guru Maharaj, he can extract from all of this what it really means and put it in like a sutra. And what does he say? And think, then who is Guru Maharaj to be able to say this? To take all of this and distill it into one principle. Who can do that? He says, service, according to the intensity of its necessity, draws remuneration. Who can say that? Guru Maharaj. Only Guru Maharaj can do that. Service, according to the intensity of its necessity, draws remuneration. So separation reaches zenith point. That means her service necessity has greatest necessity to get service from her servitors at that time. Bhaktivinod Thakur, being such a strategy, he's saying, if you can get service at that time, there's no question of ever descending again. what is otherwise beyond the constitutional capacity of a jiva soul to experience. What does that mean? Mahabhav. Like we generally told, Mahabhav, Radharani and Mahaprabhu. Right? And we can understand by extension some super Sakis and their assistant, saying, out of gratitude to her servitors, rendering service at her greatest necessity. He said, Radharani, she has like a plate of Mahabhav, and she's saying, taste what we're tasting. I want to show my gratitude to you. Have a taste of what we're tasting, what I'm tasting. And Srila Guru Maharaj said, once you've had a taste of that divine substance, he said, what to speak of all other tastes? All other rasas are tasteless. That's Srila Guru Maharaj's position. So it's the two Zenith points. So that means Kurukshetra, that meeting. Right? What is Rath Yatra? It's the celebration of this meeting. What is the Radharani, these exchange between her and Krishna? We'll talk more about it later. But that they want to like
Обмен между Кришной и ней. Они хотят забрать Кришну обратно во Вриндаван, и он хочет отправиться с ними. И он застыл в экстатической трансформации.
Force will distort
de una manera que el
upon Dwaraka Krishna is transformed in his brain. They're going to take him back to Vrindavan. So the point being that there, and what is Mahaprabhu doing behind closed? There's Rath Yatra. That's the, every year they're doing. And what is behind closed door? Another point. Brahma Gita, the same thing, same principle. That the Uddhava sent with the message to assuage the separation they're feeling. And Radharani starts speaking in divine madness. So that's what he's doing behind closed doors, because that's just truly divine madness, and as Guru Maharaj would say, non-understandable, except it's understandable to him and great acharyas. So to experience Krishna Viraha to the extreme degree, the 10th stage of separation is death. So we're told in Guru Maharaj's sloka, Nilam Bodhi today Sadasa Viraha, Kepambitam Bandhavam, that Krishna, what is Krishna experiencing? Swa Viraha, separation from himself, but not as Krishna. So as Radharani experiences separation, that's what he's experiencing. And it's brought him, it's so intolerable, it's brought him, put him in a death-like condition. Right? And so it's saying on the shore of that broad blue ocean and Nilachala Jagannath Puri, there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feeling like that, Krishna, heart and halo, Srimati Radharani, and it says, Kepan Vitam Bandhavam, with his dearest friend. Who is that? Gadadhar Pandit, none other than Srimati Radharani. And so, what is she doing? Or Gadadhar Pandit, saying, as Radharani position, when I'm feeling like that, what you're expressing now, this sloka will amplify that sentiment or bring some relief. This sloka, so Gadadhar Pandit's taking the slokas from the Bhagavatam. Imagine how sweet, Mahaprabhu's there, feeling this intense separation at this death-like stage of Krishna Viraha, and Gadadhar Pandit reviving him. Said like, what does Guru Maharaj say? Srimad Bhagavati Katha Madiraya. Madira means wine, as Gurudeva told you. So, like when your friend, they're heartbroken, and separation from their beloved, another friend comes and goes like, "Here, drink some of this," and you'll start feeling better. But what is that Katha Madira? It's the slokas Gadadhar Pandit is selecting and giving to Mahaprabhu to imbibe, and that's intoxicating him. And what is it doing? Like Sanjivayan Bhatya, bringing him back to life. He's on the verge of death. It's bringing him, there's Ayurvedic medicine, they say, that can bring a dead body back to life. Right? Like that. In a dead, almost dead state, hear these slokas and come back to life, hope, prospect. But as Gadadhar Pandit doing this, Srimad Bhagavatam, Pujayan, Ashru Payanai Pujayan. While Gadadhar Pandit is doing this and seeing these transformations of Mahaprabhu, that tears are falling from the lotus eyes of Gadadhar Pandit and onto the slokas on the Bhagavatam and washing them away. So that when Srinivasa Acharya comes for that instruction, Gadadhar Pandit saying, the slokas I want to teach you, they've been washed away by my tears. And so need new one, and sends him away, and Narhari Thakur in that town, Sri Khanda, takes a couple months to make, then he comes back, Gadadhar Pandit has left the world. Hare Krishna. This song from Narottam Thakur, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More. Toma bina ke doyalu jagata majare. Patita pavana hetu kava avatara. Moshamo patita prabhu na pai beyara. Ha ha prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi. Kripa bolokana karo ami boro dukhi. Karo Daya koro Sitapati Advaita Goswami. Daya koro Sitapati Tava kripa bole pai Chaitanya Nitai. Goda prema moitanu Pandita Gadadhara. Gora Prema Moyatanu Pandita Gadadhar Srinivasa Haridasa Doyada Sagara Ha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Bhatta Juga Sri Jivaha Prabhu Lokanatha Doya Koro Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sango Mage Narottama Dasa Doya Kodo Prabhupada Sri Gaura Prakasha Tava Jana Kripa Mage Eya Damadasa Jayanilo Prema Dana Koruna Pratu Hena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Kahan Moda Swarup Rupa Kahan Sanatan Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kahan Mora Bhakta Juga Kahan Kabira Eka Kale Kota Gela Gora Natara Pasane Kutibo Mata Anale Pasibo Goranga Gunera Nidhi kota gele pabo. Sheshabha Sangira Sange Jai Koilo Vila Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamoda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnu Padma Mahanta Parivar Jagacharya Satya Sati Sri Srimad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Padma Bhakti Rakhat Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur Tirobhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Srila Gadadhar Pandit Tirobhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Saparika Shri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ju Ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhumnitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Vishpa Varena Srilesa Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivinod Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sri Paramananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Jai Om Vishnu Padma Bhakti Sri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna. Can we see the assembled? There's Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Maharaj, Mohan, I've been looking up to, and some others. the Kumari section. Right, on the right below. And I can say Madhusudan Maharaj, Siberian monk temple. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's Dhanyavad, Shakti Devi, Dhanyavad, Kum Devi, Dhanyavad, Madhavi Devi, Dhanyavad, Dhanyavad, Sri Hari Guru, Dhanyavad, Devi Guru, Dhanyavad, London, very good. Sanandaya Prabhu, Kisan Mari and Ram Dhanyavad, Nityananda Ram Prabhu, and Columbia Dhanyavad, Dhanyavad, Vilas Prabhu, Dhanyavad, Sandhi, Krishna Prabhu, Akhitar Dhanyavad, and you made it safely, girl. And you agree. Subhashini Devi in Ireland, Dhanyavad, Satyabama Devi, Sanjay Prabhu, I saw it. Once ago, the few stars of Boston, what is the video?
Dandavat all devotees, please come back tomorrow, same time, same place means a screen, a different place in Puri. Wait and see where we'll be.
Jai Maharaj.
Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Dhanyavad.
Dandavat, Govinda Govinda Govinda.
Dhanyavad to all the devotees.
Hari Hari.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.